Fractions, Lesson 5. Fractions with unlike denominators. First, let's review. What is a fraction? A part or equal parts of a whole object or set of objects. What is a numerator? The top part of a fraction that shows how many pieces you have. What is the denominator? The bottom part of the fraction that shows how many pieces the whole is broken into. Fractions with a larger numerator than a denominator are called improper fractions. Fractions that have a whole number and a fraction are called mixed numbers. And you always need to check if you need to simplify with the GCF, or greatest common factor.
Competitors crushing it at the stove.
This is a really, really great dish.
I am so impressed.
It's unique and different. It's spectacular.
Thank you.
Which budding stars will walk away with the $10,000 prize, and who will be shocked? Mandatory mystery ingredients for each course. If your dish doesn't cut it, you will be shocked. Please open your first basket. And your appetizers must include chicken sausage, croissant donuts.
Oh my gosh, I love croissant donuts, but not in an appetizer.
Broccoli steaks, and portobello mushrooms.
In the last video, we talked about comparing numbers equal to, greater than, and less than. Now, we're going to see how this is not always the case when looking just at the numerators. In fractions, we can only compare apples to apples. The denominators must be the same. Here, you can see these same terms, greater than, less than, equal to. If the denominators are the same, the fractions with the greatest numerator is bigger. If the denominators are different, find the equivalent fractions with the same denominator. 15/20 is equal to 3/4 because 3 times 5 equals 15 and 4 times 5 equals 20. And 4/5 is equal to 16/20 because 4 times 4 is 16 and 5 times 4 equals 20. Now we can see that 15 is less than 16. Or that 16 is greater than 15. Remember, can fractions ever mean the same thing? This you saw in Lesson 1. You saw that your fraction strips 1/2 equals 2/4 equals 3/6 equals 4/8 equals 5/10 equals 6/12. For equivalent fractions, multiply your numerator and denominator by the same number. Now, we create common denominators. One way to do this is by finding the lowest common multiple, or lowest common denominator. Recognize this as LCM and LCD. The word multiple makes you think more or multiply. Here's method 1. First, multiply the numbers out evenly. Times 1, times 2, times 3, and so on. Find the smallest product or multiple that these numbers have in common. The numbers 6 and 4 have the number 12 in common. Now it's your turn. Find the least common multiple for 3/8 and 2/3. The denominators are 8 and 3. The multiples of 8 and 3 are as follows. Multiply the first fraction so that the denominator equals the least common multiple. Do the same to the numerator. 3/8 times 3 equals 9/24. Multiply the second fraction so that the denominator equals the least common multiple. Do the same to the numerator. 2/3 times 8 equals 16/24. Compare the numerators. 9 is less than 16, so 9/24 is less than 16/24. Now we know that 3/8 is less than 2/3. We can also create common denominators using method 2, prime factorization. Make a factorization tree until each number at the bottom is prime. Prime means it can only be divided by itself and the number 1. Prime factors of 24 are 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Prime factors of the number 27 are 3 times 3 times 3. Now, cross out any one circled number on one factor tree that is the same one circled number on the other factor tree. Here we can see that 24 shares a 3 with 27. We're only crossing one off. Multiply all the circled numbers, prime factors. The least common multiple of 24 and 27 are 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 equals 216. Now here's your turn for method 2, prime factorization. Find the least common multiple for 1/4 and 3/8. The denominators are 4 and 8. Make factor trees for each. The factors of 4 are 2 and 2, and the factors of 8 are 4 and 2, which gives us 2 times 2 times 2. Cross one of the same factors for either tree. This 2 matches this 2, and this 2 matches this 2. Multiply the remaining factors. 2 times 2 times 2 gives us 8. Multiply the second fraction so that denominator equals the least common multiple. Do the same to the numerator. 1/4 times 2 equals 2/8. Multiply the second fraction so the denominator equals the least common multiple. Do the same to the numerator. 3/8, because we have an 8 on the bottom, times 1 equals 3/8. Now we can compare our numerators. 2 is less than 3, so 2/8 is less than 3/8. Here's a shortcut. Comparing fractions. Draw the ovals of a butterfly. Multiply the numbers in one oval and put the answer over the numerator. Repeat with the other side and look at the product and write your symbols of greater than, less than, or equals. Here you can see that 1 times 4 is 4. You can see that 2 times 3 is 6. And 4 is less than 6. So 1/2 is less than 3/4. You can use either method, least common multiple or the butterfly. Just change the greater than, less than, or equal to symbols between the two to add or subtract as indicated. Add or subtract the numerators and keep the denominators the same. Now it's your turn. At Christina's closet, 1/3 of the clothes are white and another 1/6 are black. What fraction of the clothes are either black or white? Simplify your answer and write it as a proper fraction or as a whole or mixed number. Here are the steps. You can pause the screen now. First, identify the word or phrase that tells you what you need to do. Either and or tell us we need to add. 1/3 plus 1/6 equals. Now we can use our shortcut to draw our first wing and multiply. 3 times 1 equals 3. Draw your second wing and multiply. 6 times 1 equals 6. Now draw the body of your butterfly and multiply. 6 times 3 equals 18. Add the numerators, but leave the denominator the same. Six plus 3 over 18. 9 over 18 equals 1/2, because 9 divided by 9 equals 1, and 18 divided by 9 equals 2. I hope you liked this content and learned something. Please subscribe to my channel for more content. Thank you.